Welcome to another episode of Budget Eats. It's snowing outside and I do not want to work. I just want to stare at these flurries all day long. The premise for this episode is $20 budget. That's it. We're going down from 25 to 20. Who knows what will come next? But you know what? I am not trying to cook 5 days in a row every single week. And so this is our way of saying, you get your content, I get my rest. Hopefully I'm not too good at my job and end up creating 18,000 meals anyway out of 20 bucks, but you know, we'll see. I don't know. And because today is a snow day and we were alerted days in advance of it, yesterday the markets were crazy. Almost every single store I went into had massive lines. To be honest, it was not great for social distancing, which, you know, is still very much a thing, guys, that we should be practicing. So I went in, I grabbed what I could, I got out, skedaddled home. Considering the circumstances, I don't think I did too bad. I am a little bit worried though because I didn't really brainstorm this time because I didn't have time to, so now we're just gonna go with it. I think the theme to my life now is I don't know, which they should have taught you in school, is you'll never know. And for those of you who are wondering, my hair is doing fantastic still. Thank you for asking. I think y'all know the shtick by now, so let's take a look at what we got. Do you like what you see? Once I got home, I realized I still had $2 and change to spend, so I looked through my cupboards and I found this bag of red lentils that I had gotten on sale for $2.99 about 2 weeks ago, so we're gonna throw that in as well. I know the bag says $4.99, but you're just gonna have to trust me, it was $2.99, and if you don't trust me, I'm gonna have Zach show you my credit card statement. Believe me, it was on sale, otherwise I would not have gotten it. For our surprise ingredient this week, I grabbed this bag of polished wheat berries, product of Turkey. In addition to those red lentils and wheat berries, we also got a can of evaporated milk, along with 1 can of crushed tomatoes, 1 can of peeled tomatoes, 1 bag of tortillas, 1 2-pound bag of onions, along with a sleeve of 5 pieces of garlic, 2 bags of salmon scraps for $1 each. No bone broth this time, guys. We're taking a fish break. We got 2 carrots for about 28 cents. Ooh, that snowblower is going hard. We got 1 bunch of cilantro for 69 cents. We got 1 bag of jalapenos for $1, 1 really wrinkly jicama for $1. I've never cooked jicama before, so I'm kind of excited to see. I don't even know what it tastes like, to be honest with you. I got 1 bag of crushed mandarins. They look a little past their prime, but I'm thinking we can juice them, use them in a little bit of salad or syrup or something. You know, it's citrus. $1. 1 4-count bag of sweet potatoes and 1 tiny butternut squash, also for $1. I really went ham on that dollar discount bin, you know? And that brings us to a grand total of $20.06. Now, let's get cooking. Day 1 is always prep day. We take a look at our inventory, we see what vegetables or produce is going to go bad fast, and then we take care of those first. I definitely don't want to deal with rotten seafood, so I think we're gonna cook off all of our salmon today. My game plan for the salmon is to sear all of them off. This will cook the meat and make it easier to pull off the bones, and then we can save the large spinal bones for making a little bit of a broth later. Our salmon looks particularly juicy, so I'm gonna try to use some paper towels to dab off those seafoody juices, and then we're going to place them in our cast iron skillet over medium heat with just a touch of oil to help them not stick completely. Can we all just acknowledge how beautiful salmon is? For now, we're going to keep the salmon seasoning super simple, just salt, maybe a little touch of pepper. I don't want to flavor the entire batch any single way so that I have more room to play with throughout the days. Aaron, can you help me flip some fish, please?
Gladly.
Thank you.
That fish or this fish?
This fish.
Okay, I don't know.
Usually once I start to see a little bit of that skin, a little bit of that edge turn deeply golden, I know that the fish should be ready to turn without much stickage. Skin should be crispy, flesh should be opaque, and once that's done, how much color, how much goldenness is totally up to you. You'll see a lot of oil draining out of the salmon. Just make sure that you dump that into a bowl, save it, because we will be using it for cooking. For the cilantro, we're going to shake it dry. We're going to chop off the stems away from the leaves. We're going to wrap the leaves up in a damp paper towel, put it in an airtight container. In the meantime, we're going to take our stems and just chop it really, really fine so that it's easy to chew, easy to eat in our salad. If you want really clean stems, free of all leaves, go ahead and strip it by hand. But if you're not so nitpicky, just chop it off at the midway point where the stem meets the leaves. Erin, do you remember the last time we ate jicama? It was at a raw food place that we got a Groupon for, and we ordered jicama fries, and they turned out, because we forgot it was a raw place, it was just like literally raw jicama pieces covered in this sugar-free ketchup, and it was probably one of the worst things we ate that decade of our life. Do you remember that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Do you want to taste the strip just to jog your memory a little bit of what that experience was like?
This tastes better than that did.
Oh, yeah. What did they do to that?
They made it worse.
How? This tastes really good. It's kind of like if you took a pear that wasn't very sweet, crossed it with a radish that has a little bit of like that peppery kick, and then mashed it together with the starchiness of a sweet potato. I can't tell if it's because I had garlic on my cutting board before, but this smells almost like the faintest salsa. Can't wait to make a salad with this. So to prep our jicama, I'm just going to trim off top and bottom so that we have a little bit more stabilization on the jicama, and then we're going to follow the curve of that jicama with a sharp knife and just try to peel off that tough, fibrous outer skin. This smells so good, I can't stop smelling it. It looks like a pear. Tastes like jicama. Delicious. Delightful. Have I mentioned what we're making for meal one yet? We're having crispy salmon tacos with a jicama slaw, slightly pickled. For our slaw, I'm going to chop up some jicama, carrots, jalapeno, onions. We're gonna grate a garlic in there. We're going to toss in our cilantro stems. We're gonna squeeze the juice of some of those mandarins. We're going to add some vinegar for a little bit of kick, and then a little bit of salt. You know what, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's just go with that first. Give it a taste, and then we'll proceed. Needs more vinegar. We're gonna let this beauty rest in the fridge while we prepare our tacos. For our salmon tacos, what I'm going to do is pick out the pieces with the crispiest skin parts, and we're going to refry them in the pan. Can I help you?
Salmon tacos?
Yes, soon.
Soon?
Go away. As I was saying, we're going to be picking out the fattiest parts, and we're going to be refrying them in the pan with a little bit more spices. For my spices, I'm going to go with some smoked paprika, a little bit of ground citron peppercorn, steak seasoning, and ground cumin. I'm also going to be picking out some meaty parts, picking the bones out of them, and then refrying them very briefly. Once our pan is all oiled up with that nice fatty salmon-y fat, we're going to fry our tortillas in there. And this is what we're looking for on our tortilla. Slightly crispy, a little bit golden, slightly crunchy, but still foldable. Here's our cooked crispy salmon filling for our tacos. As your pan runs dry with each tortilla, just pour in a little bit of your reserved salmon cooking oil. That should flavor them perfectly. Here's all the salmon meat that I managed to get off of our bones. Pretty plentiful, I would say, about 4 cups. And here is all the delicious bone that we got out of our scrap bags of salmon. I'm gonna plop these in a pot of boiling water, and I'm just gonna let them cook with a tiny touch of salt until that broth is a little bit milky. I think we're ready to assemble and eat. Okay, my friend, I present to you crispy, crunchy tacos with some salmon that might still have bone in it. Yes, correct. Oh. It won't kill you. Don't worry. Don't worry. Messy.
The messier the taco, the better it is. There's a lot of fish skin on this still, right?
Yes.
I'm getting a lot of that chewiness, which is really nice.
I tried to make it crispy, but I think because it's like gotten a little bit cold now, both the tortillas and the salmon skin have gotten a little flaccid. How's her flavor?
It's pleasant. It's not particularly strong in any direction. The salmon skin is definitely more chewy than crispy, but it adds a nice texture.
Oops.
So I add an element of fun to the meal. I had a bite with the orange, and I would say it doesn't really take away anything from the dish, but it doesn't add much either. It's just sort of like, ooh, I'm eating an orange slice now. You know?
Okay.
Not a bad fish taco for the 18 cents that I assume this meal cost.
A little bit more than that.
I'm adding the chili pepper so I can give you an honest grade. Adding enough chili to regular food brings it up to what a level of food a normal person would enjoy. This just gets me to the baseline of giving it an accurate assessment. Because I realized I gotta stop rating stuff lower for not being spicy enough.
After like 18,000 episodes, you realize that?
Hey, better late than ever.
I think you're gonna give me like a 5.5. I'm gonna give myself a 6.5. Not my best work.
I agree. I'll agree with your grade. I'm standing here eating it and enjoying it.
6.5. I think primarily where I went wrong was second cooking the salmon. It kind of toughened it and didn't really crisp it up as much as I had hoped it would. And then their tortillas kind of just sat too long in the salmon grease. I would give the salad an 8.5 on its own. It's so crisp, so refreshing, nicely tart, a little bit salty, a little bit spicy, just so well balanced. Meal 1, I wouldn't say I failed, but I definitely disappointed myself a little bit. Now I'm going to spend the rest of the night thinking how I could have improved those tortillas from going totally stale. I'm going to go ahead and let that fish bone broth just steep until that color is nice and creamy, and then I'll strain it out tomorrow. I'm going to try not to cry too hard over my disappointment with myself, and I'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning. Good morning, guys. Welcome to Tuesday. I'm going to be honest with you. The depression is bad today. And this just means that we're going to take our time. We're going to practice a lot of self-care by drinking water and practicing a lot of self-forgiveness, because it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to not always be good. And we're just going to be in our feels today. For our first meal of the day, I was thinking we can make some fried rice. Salmon fried rice. Salmon miso fried rice. Salmon miso fried wheat? So when I first saw this bag in the aisle, I thought, that looks like rice. It looks like grains of brown rice, but it looks a little bit yellower. I wonder what kind of rice it is. And I pulled it out and it said shelled wheat. If you've never seen wheat berries before, this is what polished wheat berries look like. And it looks an awful lot like rice. So I was thinking, why don't we treat some of this like rice? I've never had durum wheat as a berry form on its own, so I'm very excited to see what this grain tastes like. Also on the bag, preparation. Don't rinse the product before usage. I think I'm gonna rinse the product before usage. As a rule, I don't know where these manufactured items came from. I don't know how clean the process is, and if I get it from the store and not from the source itself, I'm gonna rinse it. So what I think I'll be doing is taking half this bag, rinsing it very briefly. I'm gonna let the water come up to a boil. I'm going to lower it to a simmer, maybe cover it with a lid and let it go for maybe about 18 to 22 minutes. I'm guessing the reason why they don't want you to rinse the grains before cooking is because they're so starchy. They're probably really good for binding into a porridge, thicker consistency, kind of like risotto. But because we're going for a fried rice, I'm not too concerned about washing some of the starch off. I want my grains to be still separate, but maybe just a little bit carby on the outside. Delicious. I'm going to let it steam with the heat off for about 10 minutes before I lift the lid. This will ensure that any carryover heat can get to the center of those kernels and make sure everyone is just nice and happy and evenly cooked. It's time for a taste test. What this reminds me of is if you took barley and you took brown rice and you made them have a baby together. The grains are fully separate. They're not sticking together at all unless you want them to, but each individual grain is perfectly bouncy and al dente. I'm going to transfer the rice into a big bowl so that we can fluff it up and let it evaporate off a little bit of the extra moisture. while we prep our other fried rice ingredients. For the fried rice, I think I'm going to peel and dice up a lot of garlic. Garlic meditation is one of my favorite meditations. In addition to some carrots, some jalapeno, some jicama. I'm gonna try my best to not overcook the salmon today. And also, miso has a tendency to burn when it hits direct heat, so just be sure that you're not cooking the miso too much, or you'll end up with a very charred taste in your fried rice. Miso is a fermented soybean paste. It has some rice mold in there. Nice rice culture. Don't freak out. It's fine. It's safe, guys. And even though mine expired last summer, I think this is still fine because fermented foods basically keep forever if stored properly. To go with this fried rice dish, I'm also going to make a quick pickle of some jicama and some onions that have been minced. We're going to squeeze 1 mandarin juice in there, and then we're going to add a little bit of vinegar as well as salt. That's it. Pure and simple. And a little bit of fish sauce just for flavor, you know. I'm also going to add in a little bit of our minced jalapenos just for a little extra kick in the pickles. I'm going to be using my cast iron pan, medium heat, lots of salmon fat. Once the veggies start to soften a little bit, I'm going to go in with my white pepper, black pepper, and turmeric. Stir that around until it's evenly cooked, and then we'll go in with our wheat. Once the rice grains look very toasty, we're going to go in with our salmon as well as our miso. I present to you
the wheat thingamabobs.
The wheat thingamabobs. Cheers.
Cheers. We're in business.
Yeah?
Business is open.
You like it?
Yes.
I have a lot of bone. I'm glad you chose that one.
Oh God. Well, I didn't even guard for bones, so I'm glad you told
me.
It's
okay. They're very well cooked. They won't kill me. Famous last words.
This is interesting. That usually sounds bad when I say it first, but it's actually really good and interesting.
Hit me with it. Oh yeah.
Fish sauce has a very strong flavor, obviously. So it's brave of you to choose this, an ingredient that could have overpowered everything else. Especially in combination with other fish. Yeah, these wheat berries or whatever they are great. I don't know why I don't see them more often. If you guys need more gluten in your diet, if you're on a high gluten diet, then these would be great. Substitute the gluten-free food rice with this.
Big opening.
All right.
There you go. I think Aaron's right. The texture of these grains are totally on point. They're bouncy, they're chewy, but they're not at all hard or chalky. They're just so nice and pliable and gives me life.
You know
gives
how
me spring.
When we make fried rice, we love to crisp it up? I wonder how this would do for that.
I tried crisping up a little bit, and they were even popping. I don't think I had enough oil in there. And because yesterday's tacos were too greasy, I was like, let's ease off on the fat. But
yeah, this is not overly fatty.
I really like the miso in here. I think it works really well with the fishiness of the salmon, and it makes it taste a little bit less oily.
It's overall a very high savory dish.
Didn't need an MSG in this one.
Wow. And there's a bouncy castle in my mouth too with these.
Bouncy castle.
For its inventiveness using a new ingredient and just the overall pleasure I'm getting from eating this, bouncy castle of fishy savoriness, I'm giving it a perfect 9.
Hey, after yesterday's defeat, anything above a 7.5 would have made me exuberant.
Are you exuberant? Are you full of exuberance?
Can't you tell? I don't think it's so exciting to deserve a 9. For me, this is an 8.1. But you know what? Good enough. Excellent job, June. Question. What do you want to eat for dinner? Where'd you get that?
The floor.
You want butternut squash for dinner?
Let's do sweet butternut squash.
Sweet.
Yes.
You want dessert for dinner?
Butternut squash dessert dinner.
You got it.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you. I don't know about you, but I'm super excited to do dessert for dinner because boy, oh boy, do I have an idea in mind. So on the back of this bag of shelled wheat, there's a recipe for Noah's Ark pudding, which seems just basically like a very delicious rice pudding. Because I grabbed a can of evaporated milk, we can now make rice pudding. I'm pretty excited, honestly, because I think we can just chuck everything into the pot and let it cook until it's nice and creamy. And it's very hands-off, which I would love. I would love hands-off right about now. So I think what I'm gonna do is just prep my sweet potato and my butternut squash, chunk them into cubes. You can definitely use a peeler, but you'll see that there's a lighter, thicker skin underneath the superficial skin. If you leave this on, it'll be slightly tougher to chew, while still edible, might not be pleasant in texture. But if you use a knife, you can make sure that you're exposing that bright orange skin underneath. That flesh is nice and tender and creamy. Alternatively, you can just use a peeler, of course, and peel away slightly more of the flesh until you expose that inner orange flesh. Either way works. For the bottom portion, I like to split it in half after it's peeled and then scoop out the seeds. We can save the seeds and roast them for a little crunchy topping on our rice pudding. I would also make sure that you take out this hard core. It's very fibrous and not at all good to eat. We're gonna go ahead and add in a cinnamon stick and, I don't know, 20-ish cardamom pods. We're gonna crush them very lightly and then put them in the pot. Cracking them open helps them infuse better. So we're going to cover the pot with our evaporated milk and some water and turn the heat on very medium. I don't know what very medium is, but I think you know. I'm going to add in a pinch of salt along with about 3 cups of our cooked wheat. Sweeten it to your desired level of cavities. I'm going in with about 1/4 cup. The key to pan roasting seeds is to flip and toss and turn often. The more you turn, the more even the heating. The longer you let it sit, the more likely it's to burn on one side. Keep your heat low and do not walk away. As far as the seeds go, I want to hear some of them crack. I want to hear some of them pop. I want one of them to assassinate your eyeball. They will blow open, they will lose their moisture, and then that's how you know they're crispy crunchy and ready to snack on. Now, I know rose water can be quite a controversial ingredient, mainly because some people think it tastes like soap, especially if you use too much of it. It kind of triggers a cilantro-esque response where some people just can't handle it, which I get, but me and Aaron, we love some rose water or orange blossom water in our desserts, and I'm gonna slip a little bit of this in because, you know, it makes me feel pretty. I need it today. Not too much, just a tiny little splash. After simmering away for about 40 minutes, it's looking nice and silky, sticky, creamy, all of the good stuff. And also, my house has never smelled better. Or rather, you know, my studio apartment that is way too tiny for 2 people during a pandemic. But hey, making do. We're gonna turn the heat off and we're gonna let it cool off a little bit and then we're gonna enjoy the hell out of it. Today, we have a sweet thing because I'm super depressed and I need sugar. And so what we have is wheat berries cooked with evaporated milk and 1/4 cup of sugar along with some sweet potatoes and butternut squash, and it's flavored with cinnamon, cardamom, and rose water.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Gourmet.
This is great.
I love it. It's
Wheat-
like sweet comfort food.
What are these wheat things called?
They're just wheat berries.
Wheat berries? It's my new favorite thing. I want to experiment with them in everything now.
You like it?
This is a great dessert. Before I grade this, can I add more cinnamon?
Yes.
Okay.
Or pumpkin pie spice. I didn't spice it enough for you with 20 cardamom cloves.
I was hoping for more cinnamon.
Okay.
But that's an easy fix.
You like it?
Mm-hmm. You can tell I like it because I'm still eating it. I give this... Oh, I just ate a whole cardamom pod. Yum. I give this another 9. Because...
A perfect 9?
A perfect 9, yeah. Yeah, these wheat berries are just a fun ingredient. And you found a way to use them both savory and sweet in ways that both taste delicious. It's hearty food. It's peasant food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go out and work the cold fields now. Plowing my grains.
Go, work.
With my oxen.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Bye, farmer. I'm really digging the textures in this bowl. Everything is so creamy, but the grain itself is somehow still toothsome. Still a little bit al dente, and then you have the creamy bits of butternut and sweet potatoes that are starting to fray and fall apart, and it just kind of melts into your bite, and then you hit it with that surprise crunch from the pumpkin seeds, as well as the surprise cardamom pods, which is a little bit strong, but also absolutely delightful and fragrant. Day 2, I think, was relatively successful. I'm pretty happy with how both dishes turned out. I'm not even gonna start thinking about tomorrow because right now, I just wanna go to sleep. So that's what I'm gonna do. See you guys in the morning. Truly no feeling like crying first thing in the morning. Good morning, guys. It's Wednesday. I'm crying not because of depression today, but because of onions. They are very potent. I'm prepping some veggies as I'm watching the last Budget Eats video for video approval. So, you know, today's a busy day. All right, let me fill you in a bit on what's going on here. For our first meal today, I am going to make a chilaquiles inspired dish. Usually those tortillas for chilaquiles are fried. I just don't feel like frying today. I have a lot of meetings. I'm a busy man. I'm gonna use this opportunity to make things spicy for Aaron. We're gonna throw in some jalapenos. We're gonna throw in some ground chilies that I have left over from our Thanksgiving budget episode. We're going to throw in some red pepper nice tasty. Everything's going in. Plus, once I turn the oven on, you know I'm gonna be roasting some other things too. So we're just gonna push everything in there and let them cook. I'm only going to be seasoning these tortillas on one side because I don't really want the side that's touching the pan to burn with the spices on them. We're relatively high at 375, so I don't want that high heat to toast them prematurely. And a little salt. I'm going to recommend that you rub your spices really well into the oil tortilla. That way you can evenly distribute all of the flavor particles. I'm gonna roast off our remaining butternut squash from yesterday. I'm going to roast up some garlic, some onions, and also those salmon broth fish bones. You know I kept those. You know I'm gonna toast them into chips. You know I'm gonna eat them. I'm going to save the flesh of the jalapenos for a salsa, and the seeds and the pith I'm going to chop up, and this is going to go into the sauce. We're going to let that get nice and toasty, and we're going to bloom the spiciness out of that membrane and seed. I'll also add in our remaining carrot just for a little touch of sweetness and texture in the sauce. I'm going in with about a teaspoon of ground cumin, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon black pepper, 1 tablespoon ground chili, 1 tablespoon gochugaru, as well as 1 teaspoon dried oregano. We're gonna stir those spices until they're nice and toasty, maybe about 30 seconds or so, and then we're gonna go in with our garlic, onions, our seedy jalapeno innards, and our carrots. Then we'll go in with our canned tomatoes, our sugar, and our sambal. It's a little spicy, so we're gonna add the juice of 1 mandarin. About halfway through the bake, I'm going to turn all of my vegetables to make sure they're getting golden on both sides. We're gonna pop them back into the oven for another 15 minutes, a total of half an hour. I got a little bit distracted with my meeting, so these got a little bit dark at 20 minutes. I think we went a little too hard on the bake, but I think they're just under being burnt. So let's use them. To help balance out the toasty notes of my toasted tortillas, I'm gonna go in with 2 untoasted tortillas, you know, just to add a little bit of that pure corn flavor back. I'm gonna be reserving 1 of this crunchy tortilla for topping. Hashtag very spicy. If Aaron still needs chili on top of this, I truly have no idea who he is anymore. He's definitely not human. For our jalapeno salsa in my little tiny food processor, we're just gonna put in our onions, jalapeno, cilantro, salt, blitz. To help the salsa turn a little bit finer in texture, I added the juice of 1 mandarin along with 1 tablespoon of vinegar for acidity. Our butternut squash is nice and roasty, golden, and mushy. We're gonna plop in our butternut squash along with half of that roasted onion and 2 cloves of roasted garlic, and we're just gonna let it whiz in there until it's nice and smooth and crema-esque. To help this one blend a little bit better, I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of water to thin it out. It's nice and sweet, a little bit earthy, a little bit oniony, slightly garlicky, and just overall pleasant, and I think it'll do a lot to quench our spicy, spicy tongues. Fire, put it out. How hungry are you? Okay, I'll give you a big serving.
I've been hearing you moaning in agony all day about the heat of this.
Don't tell me it's not spicy.
Is it supposed to be spicy?
Oh my god. No f***ing way.
What exactly were you tasting when you were
The red
yelling and
soggy
crying
part.
and moaning in agony?
The red soggy part. I'm flaming up in the back of my throat right now. That's why I gave you jicama to cool you down.
Kind of tastes like an ice cream sundae. What are the crunchy bits on top? More tortilla, cooked differently?
Yes, there's 3 kinds of tortillas in here.
Mm.
There's 2 raw ones that I didn't do anything to, just tore up. And then there's 8 that were a little bit overly toasted in... What?
It was a fiber of some sort.
That's just from the butternut squash, dude. Fiber. Literal fiber, okay? Anyway.
Is fiber good for you? And what's this?
That is a jalapeno, onion, cilantro, vinegar, orange salsa of sorts.
That's really good.
Yeah.
This is a brilliant dish.
You like it?
It's not particularly spicy, but I mean, it tastes great. Chilaquiles are one of my favorite foods.
It's gonna hurt me if I finish my entire portion, man. The green salsa is delightfully fresh and cooling, kind of, against the red, saucy, warm tortillas. Excuse me.
It's a beautiful dish. I love the colors. Red, white, and green. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of heat starting to build. I do be feeling it now.
Just now.
Pull through, June.
Oh my god.
My feeling is an 8.5. I think you would have gotten another perfect 9 if I tasted it fresh. But I'm tasting what I'm tasting as it is. 8.5.
Okay. Guys, I'm gonna have to do a rule break. I'm really suffering here. I have some sour cream that expired in January. I think it's still good. Dairy helps. Let me just make sure that we won't die from eating this first.
Be real, even if it was well expired, you'd still eat it. You'd be like, oh, it's cheese now. So what's the main source of heat in this?
There's 4 types of chilies in here. There's jalapeno, and I added some sambal. I also added ground Chinese dried peppers, as well as gochugaru. How is your mouth still alive? It's coming out of my nostrils, this pain.
Pain coming out of your nostrils. That's new.
Okay, you know what? That is so much better with the sour cream. It just adds a little bit of creaminess to tamper down on the acidity of the tomatoes in our sauce. And then it also kind of slides across the texture of the soggy tortillas perfectly, so that you don't just have like a soggy piece of tortilla. You kind of have like this almost it reminds me of a grilled cheese almost.
Yeah. It's overall better with the sour cream for sure.
I am enjoying this way more now that I have some dairy. What are you doing?
This is definitely not part of the budget.
Oh.
But you need it.
Now? In
Yep.
the middle of my... Oh my god.
How much does that help? Can we do ice cream Sammy week? Where you just make different variations of ice cream
Oh
Sammys?
my god, it's so good. Sugar and dairy is helping me recover. I'm not sure how my digestive tract is going to do after this meal. Eat now, think later. That's my rule. I'm going to take a break, and we'll meet back here for dinner. I'm going to wait until the fire inside me dies down a little bit. Guys, I forgot about these. It's our ocean graveyard this time. Be careful. The bones are quite sharp. I would go with these spinal ones. Do you think this will give us cancer too? Is it ash?
Gives me deliciousness.
Mmm.
Good snack.
Mm-hmm.
We should package that.
Mmm. But people might choke on it and then sue me. Look at how pretty that is. I'm not going to recommend that you do this because there is a good chance that if you don't chew these properly, you either poke a hole through your gums, it's edible, and it's kind of delicious, and it's crunchy and toasty, and calcium. An 8.5 out of 10. I lied, I didn't take a nap, but now I'm back and I'm thinking about dinner. I think after that fiery lunch, we're gonna need a hefty, refreshing salad because it's still burning, guys. I'm thinking to all of our leftover ingredients, we still have jicama, we have cooked salmon, we have cooked wheat berries, we also have a lot of onion and jalapenos and cilantro. So what I think I'm gonna do is chop up all of our veggies very simply, slice the jicama, mince some onions, slice some jalapenos, throw it all in a bowl with our wheat berries and our salmon, and then we can toss it with a simple little vinaigrette. We don't have a lot of it, but we still have some of this salmon cooking oil. I'm going to be adding a little bit more olive oil to this bowl, and we'll whip it up with some grated garlic along with some apple cider vinegar, go in with some Dijon mustard maybe, a little bit salt, a little bit of pepper. You want to whisk your dressing until it looks like it's silky and emulsified and smooth and creamy. Nice and perky, a little bit garlicky, just the way I like it. Could this possibly be the easiest and fastest meal I've ever made on Budget Eats? Maybe. You excited for some salad? Eating a salad with a spatula is really inefficient. Mmm. Mmm. All right, my dude. Dinner is here. Cheers.
Are there bones in this again?
No, I picked
Okay.
through them. There's no bones.
There's been a bony week. There's just been bone after bone. I'm not making a joke. It's just salmon bones.
What do you think, chef?
Salmon salad
Salmon salad.
with wheat berries.
With wheat berries, cilantro, some jicama, some onions, some jalapenos, and a vinaigrette.
Those fancy lunch restaurants in New York, where your food comes in one of those compostable cardboard trays, and they charge $20 for it. This is what they would serve there. This probably cost like 12 cents for the whole bowl. It's a nice healthy salad.
Does it taste good?
It tastes good.
Good.
Is good enough? There's nothing bad here, which means it's good.
You have a grade?
Good out of 10.
I think it needs a little bit more acid and a little bit more salt. Do you agree?
I was thinking it needed black pepper.
Do it.
Okay.
Oh, salt. See? I knew you wanted
Yeah,
salt.
salt and black pepper.
Oh, you went for the fancy Portuguese
Portuguese
sea salt.
This is chamomile
Ooh.
vinegar
Okay, fancy.
with mother in the dropper. See?
I don't need that fancy. Can I just get like 3 more of those, please? It's tiny. I thought you said you didn't need acid. You
Just
change
trying
your
it.
mind?
Just trying it.
Trying it. Sure you are.
Better, for sure.
If there's anything that I learned this week, it's that salmon oil is super fatty. It's almost like twice as rich as other oils in the same amount. I used less than a tablespoon of that leftover salmon oil in this dressing, and you can taste the heaviness in that salmon oil in this dressing, which is why we needed more vinegar. If you know why salmon oil tastes so rich, let me know down below in the comments. I want to learn.
Because it's meat fat. And it's good. Is that an answer?
I'm going to give myself an 8.7 out of 10 because I love this meal so much. It was so easy and fast to whip together. It's so satisfying to eat. It's just like a complete meal. What are you crinkling back? Whoa. Urfa pepper?
Urfa Biber? I have no idea how to say that. But it's a Turkish chili that's delicious.
Can I try some of yours? Whoa.
I'm not crazy just dumping chili on everything.
That
This
is
one
so
works.
nice and smoky. And also a little bit salty too. It
Yes.
gives it such a rich flavor.
It's really weird. I don't think this pepper
I'm
has-
peppered out today.
I don't think this chili has salt in it, but it tastes really salty and savory. I've noticed that every time I've used it in food.
So good.
I give this a 7 pre my modifications and 9.1 after.
Chili pepper, salt, and vinegar. Upped it by 2.1 points.
Yeah, so this is now my favorite thing of this week so far.
No. Really? Just because of spicy though.
No, I think it just tastes like it's health food that's really satisfying at the same time. And that's really hard to do. And you did it. June lied to me. I almost died.
It's kind of my plan. I think today was a resounding success. We had a great lunch. We had a great dinner. And now I'm gonna go take a nap. Or will I? I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yes, Tess. Yes, I do. Welcome to Thursday. That chilaquiles really did a number on me through the night, and I'm not feeling too good. I'm sure you can tell. So today, for lunch, I think I'm just gonna go with some simple, soothing, comforting food. There's a dish from the Indian subcontinent called khichdi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And if I'm not, please let me know down in the comments below the right way to pronounce it. Thank you so much. Usually it is a dish made with lentils and rice, and you simmer it into a porridge-like consistency. It's flavored very simply, but you can also add whatever vegetables you want to it, depending on the region, depending on the family. The recipe combos are endless. The simplest version, following Ayurvedic traditions and guidelines, is just rice and lentils turmeric, and salt, plus water. That's it. Today, I'm going to add a few more spices to that mix just to flavor it up somewhat, but I'm going to keep it fairly simple and absolutely no chilies in this one because my hands are flaring up so bad from all those chilies. I know Aaron's gonna hate it, but you know what? It's mushy, it's nice for me. I'm gonna treat myself today. I really don't want to turn on any lights, but I guess we have to. Here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead, rinse off my lentils, give them a nice good soak, and then I'm going to take the wheat berries and use those as a rice substitute. Because they're so bouncy, I want to kind of chop them in half a little bit, so I'm gonna give them a pulse in my Vitamix just so that they get a little bit more broken up and they can get even more mushy in the texture. Now, because the packaging on this wheat tells me to not rinse the product before usage, I'm gonna take advantage of it this time because I definitely don't want a damp grain in my mixer. We're gonna go into the Vitamix with this unrinsed. I'm going to grind about half cup of it for our khichdi, and then the rest of them we're gonna turn into flour. And now that I've fully woken Aaron up with the Vitamix, I say we go ahead and make some lentil flour too. Now, if I had premeditated this flour making process, I probably would have rinsed these yesterday and then left them out to dry overnight. But they look relatively clean to me, and if we grind it down to a fine powder, even the hardest tooth-breaking grit should be okay. Probably not good to eat, but you know, compromises. As the red lentils are soaking, periodically give them a stir to ensure that nothing is clumping together at the bottom and all of the water is soaking all of the legume evenly. For my version of khichdi, we're going to go and make some garlic chips. This way we'll have some oil that's infused with garlic flavor and a little bit of a crunchy topping that we can put on later. I'm going to slice my garlic real thin. I'm going to heat my pot with a thin layer of oil. For my oil, I'm going to be using these sample packets of coconut oil that we got probably 2 years ago. Keep mixing while they're still in the pot to ensure even heating. You don't want any pieces to burn. And as soon as they turn lightly golden like this, pull it. Even if some pieces look white, you don't want any of the pieces to get burned. Once they turn brown, it's not very delicious. To add a little bit of meatiness and substance to this, I think I'm going to go ahead and peel and cube one sweet potato, just for a little added sweetness, healing powers. I'll also add in about half cup of our open can of crushed tomatoes from yesterday. I think this will add a nice little height of flavor to it. As for my spices, I'm going to go ham on them. I'm gonna use 14 spices in my khichdi. Now, obviously, if you don't have all these spices at home, you don't have to use all of them. You don't even have to use any of them. Just put some turmeric in, put some salt in. You have a very basic version of khichdi. However, today, I have all these spices in my pantry, so I'm gonna put all of them in because why not? Treat yourself. We have some ajwan seed, which is a little bit bitter, a little bit citrusy, a little bit oniony, and it's absolutely delicious when used with other spices. We have some kalonji, aka nigella seed, aka black cumin. It goes by a lot of names. I don't know why it has all these names. Then we have some of our repeat players, ground cumin, coriander, fennel seed. We have some fenugreek seeds, which are a little bit curry-like in flavor. Then I'm gonna go in with some cardamom, cracked black pepper, and ground cinnamon. Then we have ground ginger, white pepper, and turmeric, obviously. And last but not least, we have some stinky boys. We have some asafoetida, which I can even smell it through the closed container, as well as some kala namak, aka black salt. Both of these have like a sulfuric smell, so they kind of smell like gas. But hey, we like cheese, which smells like smelly socks and feet, so we like weird things, you know, and they taste good to us. So once we have our garlic oil, we're gonna maintain the heat on a medium-low, and then we're gonna toss in all of these 14 spices. Once they're toasty, about 30 seconds to 45 seconds in, you're going to move fast. We don't want any of these spices to burn. That will lead to a bitter taste. In go our sweet potatoes, our soaked wheat, our soaked lentils, as well as that tomato. I'm gonna use about half cup. We're going to add some water enough to cover, just bring everything up to a boil and then lower it to a simmer. We're gonna cover it and just let it go for maybe 25 minutes until everything is nice and soft and easily digestible. I know you guys like recipes, I know you guys like exact amounts, but when it comes to things like khichdi and congee, there really is no prescription for how smooth and liquidy these things are. It's totally up to personal taste. If you like it looser, just add a little bit more water. And if you like it chunkier and, you know, more solid, just add less water. Cook it off until it's the right consistency for you. During the 25-minute simmer time, I would just unlid occasionally and give it a stir to make sure nothing is sticking on the bottom because we don't want burning. We just want smooth, soothing soul food. We're gonna taste for seasoning. It's hot. I think as is, it's quite nice. It's salted, but not salty. It's nicely flavored. Everything's very soothing. There's a little bit of curry flavors going on in there. And the flavor is almost like mashed potato, but with nice little bouncy pieces of our cracked wheat in there. The tomato is adding a nice little bump of acidity that's turning more into savoriness than tartness. And I think a little bit of cilantro on top will make this really nice. I love the textures. The sweet potatoes have completely fallen apart. They still hold a little bit of shape in the bowl, but once they meet your mouth, it's just pure creaminess. You crunch down on a little bit of that fried garlic chip and it's just comforting heaven in a bite. I know that this is nowhere near the spice level that Aaron prefers, so I'm going to give him some homemade fresh chili oil and some sambal so that he can, you know, top it to his own desired needs. How you feeling?
Hungry.
Are you ready for some mush?
Mush!
That's mine. Yours is in there.
June, this just looks like food you would have made anyways, whether
Yes.
or not you were working today or
Correct.
doing any budget eats week.
It's mush food.
This is literally something, I think you've made this hundreds of times already. Oh, what's that in there?
Cardamom.
Okay. How many times this week have I bitten into a whole cardamom pod?
It's good for
because of
you. Don't worry about it.
I think this is your mush plus like jazzed up to like normal people food tastes.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it's not just like jail slop.
Not just jail slop. Yeah.
It's flavorful slop.
Exactly. So is this an Indian dish? What is it called?
Inspired by the dish known as khichdi. I think I'm pronouncing that
I don't think you
close.
are. I don't think you're pronouncing it right at all. I think you knew I wasn't gonna love it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to put some spicy?
Yes.
Okay. Did you like the garlic chips at least?
I do. These are perfect. Yeah, I like when they're still a little bit rubbery. If you fry the garlic too much, then, you know, it loses a lot of that garlic essence. This is going to be the deciding bite because it's the
Okay.
perfect bite.
Yes, it has sweet potato in it too.
Oh, does
Good
it?
job. Yeah,
sweet
on the
potato
bottom
ones?
of your...
All right. Well, I obviously like it better. Now that it's... What are you doing? I would give this a solid 7.2.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
We have like enough leftovers for yet another meal of the same dish. And I think this is a really great way to stretch your budget because I only used about 1.5 cups of soaked lentils and 1/2 cup of dried wheat berries. And that's enough to serve 4. So get on this khichdi deal. Next up, nudes. Folks, I do believe the time has come for us to use our salmon broth. And for our salmon broth, I think the perfect thing to put in there is noodles. And because we have durum wheat that is now ground into flour, I don't see why we can't make noodles ourselves. Let's give it a try. I've never worked with this type of wheat before, so I don't know how it's going to react. I don't know what the gluten situation is like. So what I'm going to do is take 1 3/4 cups of flour, and then I'm going to pour some boiling water in there. I'm going to see how it sets, and we'll work from there. I'm guessing it's going to have the consistency of pasta dough, which, you know, is a heartier type of noodle very, very dry dough. Probably not going to be able to pull it. We're probably going to need to roll it out and cut it. Why boiling water? Well, usually when I make dumpling dough in Chinese cuisine, there is hot water going into that dough to kind of set that dough and make it more pliable, a little bit more toothsome. I just like that texture, so I'm seeing if we can mimic that dumpling skin texture. Basically, hot water sets the gluten right away when it comes into contact with the flour, and it kind of gels the starches in the flour. So then you have a softer noodle that isn't quite so elastic, but is quite toothsome. For our dough in a large bowl, I'm going to put in our flour, a little bit of salt, and stream in our hot water. Once I see some dough clumps like this, I'm going to go in with my hands and knead it. And if that dough still feels really dry and crumbly, I'm going to add in a little bit more water at a time. Just maybe 1 tablespoon max, until that dough feels nice and cohesive. Once your dough looks like this, where you can poke it, doesn't stick to your hand, it has cracks, but still feels pretty nicely moist and not dry and crumbly, we can just put it away in a container, seal it, and let it rest for about 30 minutes while we make our broth. I just tasted the salmon broth, and do you see how fatty this is on my lips? My goodness. Let me think about this. If you ever need lip balm, just eat some salmon oil. Okay, I think to balance out the fattiness of the salmon broth, we're gonna need to go in with some of our canned plum tomatoes. I'm going to probably plop 2 in along with some raw garlic and just let it seep into that salmony fatty goodness. I'm also gonna be adding in some spices. I'm thinking a little bit of ground white pepper, a little bit of black pepper, along with a little bit of miso. And then we should chop our carrots and jicama and just slide those in there for a little bit of crunch and vegetables. I also found some cut up onions and jalapenos from yesterday, and I'm just gonna dump it all in, guys. So Aaron's favorite pasta shape is the bow tie, and I'm going to try to make some bow ties out of this dough. Basically, I'm going to take our dough, I'm going to put it into quarters, and then I'm going to work with 1 quarter at a time. I'm going to be rolling it on a wooden cutting board, very, very thin, about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. It all depends on how thick you like your pasta to be. Then I'm going to use this little pinwheel tool that I bought 5 years ago, and I've never used it since. I'm going to be trimming the dough into strips and then making tiny little 1.5 inch by 1 inch pieces. Then I'm going to pinch the middle to kind of seal that bow tie middle part, and then I'm going to use chopsticks to kind of push that in and seal it completely so that it doesn't unravel. Time to give our soup a taste. I think it tastes pretty good, but it needs a little bump of flavor. So in we go with MSG and the remaining green citron peppercorns that I have. That got the job done. Cheers.
Cheers. Is this salmon soup?
Yes, salmon
Yes.
bone broth.
Salmon broth.
Yeah.
June, you made my favorite cut of pasta.
I did. Bow ties.
10 out of 10.
For fall.
That has a really good texture for being fresh pasta.
You don't like fresh pasta?
Well, usually dry pasta is more al dente. I feel like fresh pasta, because it already starts a bit mushy, just becomes more mushy when you cook it. But it is really good. How did you make this bow tie shape?
I guess you'll have to watch the video and find out.
Magic? Did you use magic? Be honest.
Do you think I did a good job on shaping them? I think they look pretty.
You did a Good job on the whole meal. This is delicious.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Woo!
This is great. This is a 9.5.
What? No.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, no.
You're right. It's shitty. 2. It's a 2.
So I'm not a huge fan of fresh pasta just because I feel like I kind of like the more bounciness.
That's what I said.
Yeah, the more light, bouncy, airy feature of dried pasta, but
You did well on this somehow. And this is not just homemade pasta. You ground the freaking wheat.
this week I learned how to use salmon fat. It's
really-
unlike other bone broth fats.
It's really a story of personal growth for you. You're like those salmon swimming up the waterfalls. And they jump. And the first one jumps and misses. And that was the first day's meal. Where I just
All right.
gave myself
Thank you.
immediate acne from the oil.
We still have half a tray of pasta left, plus the dough from our trimmings. I'm gonna roll these out. I'm gonna put this in a box with some additional flour so they don't stick next to each other. I'm going to put them in the freezer. I'm gonna put them in the freezer. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. TGIF, babes. Alright, in case you haven't noticed, we have a lot of lentils to use, guys, so we're going to be making lots of lentil dishes today. We still have quite a bit of canned tomatoes, we still have some of our salmon scraps that I pulled off the bone from our broth, and then we have lentils. I think we just gotta mash them together and bake them into salmon falafel-y type things, and then put them in a red sauce, and then scarf it. Hopefully it tastes good. A lot of lentil meatball recipes that I found online used cooked lentils. However, red lentils turn really mushy really fast. So I'm thinking of making a falafel adjacent meatball where we just grind up the raw soaked lentils and let's hope it bakes and gets cooked. So to make these meatballs, I'm going to food process all of our ingredients. My Vitamix is very wide on the bottom. It doesn't get all the food items evenly dispersed. It's just a pain to work with sometimes in small batches. So instead, I'm gonna be using my tiny food processor and we're just gonna mix the ingredients as they fit. I'm gonna process half an onion, 1 whole jalapeno. Once again, I'm gonna be saving the seeds and the membranes to go into our sauce and make it slightly spicy. Perfect addition. The rest of our cilantro, our cooked salmon, 2 cups-ish of lentils that were soaked. My food processor was way too small for 2 cups of lentils, so I think I ended up with about maybe 1.5 cups of lentils in there, and I just ground it up until it's kind of like, well, I don't know what this is. You see what this is? This. Instead of normal salt, we're just gonna go in with some flavored salt. I have some Mediterranean citrus. Perfect. In terms of cohesion, it's not doing too bad right now, but I want to make sure that they don't fall apart, so I'm going to go in with maybe 2 tablespoons of lentil flour for now, and then we'll see. Alright, I think that helped somewhat. Now, I don't recommend doing this at home because none of this is actually cooked, but you know, the salmon isn't raw, so I'm gonna taste it. Tastes pretty good. Nothing like a shot of raw beans to wake you up in the morning, you know? I think I'm gonna go ahead and just keep adding in some more tablespoons of lentil flour until this mixture gives me confidence that I can shape it without too much pain. Alright guys, about 1/2 cup of lentil flour later, I think we have the perfect mixture. If I scoop it, it holds its shape, it doesn't immediately fall off, and it's still nice and moist. Let's shape. Oh, and I almost forgot. 1 tablespoon of this tomato sauce going in just for a little umami bump. Meanwhile, we're gonna preheat our oven to 400 degrees for these meatballs. I'm gonna be brushing my tray very lightly with extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to be brushing the tops of these meatballs with some oil as well, just to ensure that we're getting a nice little browning and a non-stick release. I'm not really looking for the world's most perfectly round meatballs here, so I'm just gonna be using 2 large spoons, fairly round. They can complement each other. I'm going to dip them in water to ensure a non-stick release from the spoon, and then I'm going to scoop out a meatball, and then we'll shape it with the spoons on the sheet tray. To make our red sauce, I'm gonna keep it really simple because mainly we just don't have that many ingredients left anymore. So I'm gonna take our remaining half of the onion, chop it up, along with some cloves of garlic. We're gonna saute that in a little bit of olive oil until it's nice and soft. Then we'll go in with our canned tomatoes. I'm gonna use all of the sauce, and then I'm gonna reserve maybe 2 plum tomatoes just in case we wanna eke out another meal. We're gonna let those tomatoes break down a little bit, let them cook, let them marry. Those jalapeno seeds are very spicy. I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze this in. Herb salt. Balls are out, 20 minutes. They look super deeply golden on the underside, a little bit toasted and dried out on the top. The only way to know if they're actually cooked is to break one open and taste it. They smell lightly salmony. Ooh, that's a bow. Shh, don't tell Aaron. They are cooked. They have a vaguely fish stick flavor profile. It kind of reminds me of like public school lunch cafeteria fish sticks, and you can smell it from maybe 80 feet away. The lentils are nice and creamy and soft on the inside. It's not too dry, and it's also not too sloppy mush. I think it's a perfect consistency. If I may say so myself, those taste pretty darn good. And I think the only thing that can make this better is if we had meatballs and spaghetti. We don't have spaghetti, but we do have those bow ties from yesterday. I gave them a nice little freeze for longer storage, but you know what? I think we can cook them today. Aaron is currently preoccupied with his work, so instead of boiling these and risking overcooking them, I think what I'm gonna do instead is saute them very lightly in olive oil in our cast iron skillet. I'm going to get them really nice and toasty, and then I can pause the cooking whenever I need to so that I can heat it up for Aaron later. While our oven is still warm, I'm going to spread out our frozen pasta on a sheet tray and just slide them in there on the off oven, wait for them to defrost a little bit, and then we can cook with them. While Aaron is plugging away, I'm getting a little hungry, so I think what I'm going to do is make myself a little treat. Do you remember the wheat pudding that we made? It tastes surprisingly like rice pudding, which made me think if I blend it up with a little bit of ice and a little bit of mandarins, we could make a creamsicle horchata. Now, to simulate that orange creamsicle vibe, we're gonna need the zest of the mandarins. That's because all of the essential oils in the skin of the citrus fruit is where all of that nice fragrant flavor is. So I'm gonna go ahead, zest 3 of those peels into the Vitamix. I'm gonna plop in a little chunk of our wheat pudding. Oh, and a little extra cinnamon, of course. And then I'll put in some ice, I'll juice up those mandarins inside, whiz it up, and we'll taste it. So refreshing, so creamy, lightly sweetened, slightly tart. Needs a little more cinnamon. That's too much. I'm gonna go give this to Aaron. Aaron is almost ready to eat, but our meatballs have gotten cold. So I'm gonna turn the oven back on. I'm gonna slide them in to warm them up slightly. And then I'm just gonna make some tortilla chips because we have a lot of those left. And I'm thinking with our remaining tomato sauce, onions, jalapenos, we can whip up a salsa. Chips and dip. By now our pasta is fully defrosted. Let's go ahead and give them a saute. I'm just gonna season with a little bit of salt as they cook. Once your pasta looks nice and toasty, hit it with a little bit of water. This is basically the same concept that we do when we make pot stickers. You sear the bottom first, get it nice and crusty, and then you steam it to help it finish cooking all the way through. We're gonna wait until all the water basically evaporates and cooks into the pasta and goes into the air, and then we'll taste the pasta. If it still needs a little bit more of cooking, we'll add in a little bit more water. Adjust it as you see fit. The inside, if you want it al dente, should still be a little bit of white and raw in the middle. If you want it fully cooked, go ahead and keep adding water. Aaron likes his pasta with a super bite, so we're just gonna let that water boil off, get golden on the crusty bits, and then pull and put it into our sauce with our meatballs.
So these are meatballs?
Yes, kind of.
Sort of.
Kind of, sort of, yes.
Okay. It's a bit dry.
Yeah.
My mouth is turning
Get some sauce. Did you get some
concrete. That's better.
Yes. That's why I put it all in the same plate for you so that you could eat them together.
From now on, I won't ignore anything you say.
Do you like them?
The meatballs?
Yeah. Everything, man. But sure, give me meatballs first.
Do I like the meatballs? No. Do I like the rest of the stuff? Yes. My immediate thoughts are this would have been a great dish if it was just your pan fried pasta in this sauce. The meatballs, I think, it's hard for this sauce even to get over the dryness going on here.
Okay.
Is this a whole piece of garlic right here?
Yes.
Okay, 10
Just
out
for
of 10.
you.
Yeah, for me, I grew up eating my mother's delicious Italian-style meatballs. That's veal, pork, and beef. And they're just so rich and juicy and fatty.
Yes, I know.
And just, moist when you squeeze
These
them.
are a
All
little
the
bit
meat juices
healthy.
come out. Yeah.
Too healthy.
This is basically like lentil patties.
They are lentil patties,
So,
but
okay.
salmon-y.
Yeah, okay. You see, if you called them lentil patties
Okay.
at the start,
All right.
my expectations would have been
Sorry.
set differently.
See, guys? Lower your expectations.
Yeah.
Greater fulfillment. So, I'm sorry. Let me reintroduce this dish to
Okay.
you. Here we have some salmon lentil patties soaked in a delicious, lightly spiced red sauce with pan-fried fresh bow ties.
Okay. Oh, I love these lentil patties. They're way better than normal lentil patties I've had, which are but these are good lentil patties. They're meatballs, but good lentil patties.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think if I used the salmon on day one, these meatballs would taste a lot fresher, but right now they have that sort of like frozen fish taste. As far as using the ingredients go, I think I did a fantastic job. The pan-fried pasta is a little bit
Every
crispy.
one of the meals this week, I'm dodging salmon bones left and right.
Boiled yet again! I feel like Wile E. Coyote here, trying to kill the Roadrunner, but the Roadrunner always escapes.
There's faster ways to do it than hoping I choke on a salmon bone.
I know, but then I go to jail for it.
Just stab me with one of your great chef knives.
Not worth it. Is it filling? Yes. Is it delicious? The sauce is. The pasta is nice. The fish balls, they have integrity.
Ask me what my grade is with this dish with meatballs.
What is your grade with the meatballs?
6.5.
What is your grade with the lentil patties?
8.1.
Okay. One thing that I am extremely surprised by is the salmon balls don't taste that spicy, but the sauce does. And the sauce has the membranes and the seeds from one jalapeno, and that's it. I didn't add any other spicy component, and it's like insanely, I'm sweating. My tongue is a little bit on fire. Aaron is drinking water, so you know.
That doesn't prove anything.
Oh, sure it doesn't. Our golden chips are out of the oven, and they look mad crispy. Yum. Alright guys, for our snacky salsa, we're just gonna go into our food processor with the remaining of our tomatoes, a little bit of onion, half my huge jalapeno, and then we're gonna go in with a little bit of salt and a little bit of vinegar, and then we're gonna eat it with the chips, and we will all be happy, finally.
That's like a salsa. That's like an instant salsa.
Instant salsa.
I just saw you put that in there like a minute ago, and suddenly we have salsa.
Yup. Ooh, that's spicy. Ah, fire. Oh my god, you know what I forgot to add? Garlic. Garlic! How could I have forgotten that? It's never too late, guys. Never too late to correct your mistakes. Here we go. The proper salsa with garlic. Alright guys, I know we still have an incredible amount of lentils left, but I think this is going to be our final meal. The reason being, while we still have a lot of lentils left, which means I can make all sorts of different lentil soups and stews for another year, we have very limited ingredients as far as other things go. We have odds and ends like our roasted garlic, our onions, we have half of our jalapeno, we have some raw onions. We also still have a few pieces of tortilla left, as well as 2 sweet potatoes, and we have our 5 mandarins. And we still have some of this durum flour that we ground down. It's gonna be an interesting last meal. What I'm currently leaning towards is making a hummus of some sort out of the lentils. We can put our roasted garlic in there, we can put some raw garlic in there along with our roasted onions, maybe some spices. I'm going to cover it with water just barely so that we don't get it too soggy. We want the lentils cooked, but not completely slushy. For the sweet potatoes, Aaron has been moaning and nagging about fries all week, so I think I'm just going to cut them up and roast them until they're kind of crispy, crunchy on the outside and make some sweet potato fries. And if we have hummus and fries, we can either eat that on its own or we can make a wrap. I have to say there are few things I love more than just a pure flour flatbread, and I think if we can try to make a durum wheat tortilla to wrap all of our hummus and fried sweet potatoes, let's do it. But you know, I don't want just any flour tortilla, I want a tomato flavored one. And because we still have some of that sauce left over from lunch, I think I'm just gonna put that into the durum wheat tortilla dough and see how that comes out. Let's go ahead and make this dough first so that it can rest, and then we can go on to our hummus. For the dough, in a medium-large bowl, we're going to dump in our remaining durum flour. Along with that flour, we're going to go in with half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of baking powder, along with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to mix that in with my hands until everything's evenly distributed. After that, I'm going to stream in some boiling water. If it feels too dry, just keep in mind that we're still going to go in with a little bit of our tomato sauce, so that will add some moisture too. After our tomato sauce goes in, I'm going to knead it with my hand until a dough emerges smooth, supple, and slightly oily. Once that dough holds the shape of your finger indentation completely without sticking to your hands, you know that you have the perfect dough. We're gonna slide that ball of dough into a container and let it rest while we make our hummus lentils. For our lentils, it's really just whatever I have left on hand now. So in a pot, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of olive oil. I'm gonna go in with my roasted onions, a little bit of raw onions. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of roasted garlic, a little bit of raw garlic. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of jalapeno, not too much. And then I'm gonna add in a lot of lentils. I'm probably gonna go in with 4 cups because I wanna be able to control the consistency of my lentils. I definitely don't want too much water in there to begin with. I can always add more later. I'm also gonna add in there some ground coriander, ground cumin, as well as steak seasoning for salting purposes. For a little bit of a smoky kick, I'm gonna add in just shy of a half teaspoon of smoked paprika. We're gonna bring everything up to a boil, clamp a lid, partially ajar on it, and wait until everything's smooth and creamy and cooked. If you're using a cheaper pot like I am, where the metal is super thin on the bottom, just make sure you unlid occasionally, maybe every 3 to 5 minutes or so, and give it a stir to make sure nothing is burning on the bottom, because boy oh boy, have I burnt many a pot. Because I soaked my lentils, these take super short amount of time to cook through. I'm at 8 minutes now and they're already done. You'll know that your lentils are ready to come out of the pot when, if you stir, they turn creamy. As long as you keep stirring, they should be breaking down. If they're not breaking down, they're not yet ready to be creamy hummus yet. I'm gonna take it off the heat, and then I'm going to plop my entire pot into a bowl of large cold water. This will help it cool down faster because nobody wants hot hummus. In the meantime, we can prep our sweet potato fries. For a little extra fiber and vitamins, I'm gonna be keeping most of the peel on. I'm gonna trim away the spots where it looks dingy and blotchy, but for the most part, if it looks clear, we're gonna keep it. For ease of wrapping and eating, I think we're just gonna keep the traditional shoestring fry shape here. My goodness. We're gonna put our fries on our tray. We're going to brush it with olive oil. We're gonna salt it very lightly, maybe a little bit of spices. We're going to throw it into our oven that has been preheating at 375. At the 15-minute mark, we're going to take out our sweet potatoes. We're gonna give them a little shake, a little toss, flip them around a little bit, and then put them back into the oven until they're nice and crispy. Our fries are nice and golden, hopefully crunchy. Kind of goes. Aaron, do you want a fry? These are obviously not fried fries, they're baked fries, but I figured you should try one before they get less crunchy. They're kind of gummy in the center.
Yeah.
Not very crunchy
Not
on the
crispy.
outside, but
Tastes great.
yeah, I think it's got really good flavor. That one looks fun. Oh, I found an uber crunchy piece. In the meantime, we're gonna roll out our tortillas. As you can see, after it's rested, there's a little bit of gluten development and it's nice and elastic. I'm gonna divide our dough into 4s and then I'm going to roll each of them up into a ball, flatten the ball, and then roll it out with a rolling pin until it's pretty thin. I would say 1/8 of an inch, but let's see how far we get. When rolling out dough of any sort, if you're trying to keep it circular, rotate that round often. The more often you rotate it, the more even your rolling will be. To cook these tortillas, I'm gonna set my trusty cast iron pan over a medium-low heat, and we're just going to go on that pan until the bottom gets a little bit dried out and maybe slightly browning. As soon as your pancakes come out of the pan and onto a plate, cover it with a damp paper towel so that they don't dry out. If you have your heat on the right setting, as soon as you start to see the surface of the dough bubbling, that's a good sign to flip. Once you flip, it cooks really fast on the other side. You're gonna see some brown spots. It's ready. Once our lentils are cooled off, I'm gonna hit them with some raw onions, some raw garlic, roasted garlic, as well as our jalapeno seeds and membranes, and I'm gonna process it in batches until everything's smooth. Oh, that's spicy. You may be asking, June, you have a very expensive Vitamix. Why are you not using that to do your hummus in? Well, guys, I have the wide Vitamix. It beats a lot of air into it without moving the mixture efficiently sometimes. And besides, I don't really like a fluffy hummus. I like my hummus to be slightly grainy, a little bit textured, with grit. Kinda like this. I present to you our red lentil hummus dip with a drizzle of olive oil, some of our remaining garlic chips, some cilantro, and some gochugaru on top. I think that looks pretty delightful. Ready? As usual, our last meal requires a little bit of assembly.
Is it because it's just put together crap from whatever you still had laying around?
Actually, no. This time it's not leftovers.
Okay.
We have sweet potato fries baked, and we also have tomato durum tortillas, and we also have some hummus, but it's actually lentils with a lot of different onions, jalapenos, garlic. And then you have toppings like raw jalapeno, raw onions, cilantro, pumpkin seeds.
It's beautiful hummus. Is this lentil hummus again?
Don't be too greedy, you might not be able to close it. You like it?
Mainly because I'm just eating straight up jalapenos.
Well, yeah. It's for you. I did pretty good. The textures are really nice.
There's a lot of sweet elements of this wrap. The hummus is a little sweet. The tortilla is a little sweet. Sweet potatoes are obviously sweet. But those fresh jalapenos in there make it an exciting sweetness, an exciting overall flavor.
I didn't add sugar. There's no sugar.
Just the natural sweetness of the ingredients is coming out. And you know what my favorite thing is about this meal? I'm not constantly worried about choking on salmon bones.
It's such a pleasing bite, too.
Did you get this idea from the halal trucks in New York that sometimes put fries in their falafel wraps?
How is this for a last meal?
Like ever?
Maybe.
Yeah, you never know these days.
I like my fries. I like my cilantro. I like my crunchies.
So this was $20 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything left over?
Yes. Lots of red lentils. We got lentils up there. And then inside, random leftovers. And also a lot of mandarins, as well as some tortillas. And salsa. Ooh, how would salsa taste on this?
Forgot about this.
I know, salsa's great.
I was looking forward to eating this when I got back, but here I am.
Better?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It freshens it a lot.
And freshens it. Can I have a grade, chef? My battery's running out.
I don't know. It's not like mind-blowing, but it's good. Maybe an 8.9.
8.9 is pretty good, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I also have some of our leftover pasta sauce from lunch. Mmm. That's good in there too. Throw all the crap in here. I'm in love with all the textures in this one. I
Agreed.
think the soft flour tortilla is really nice with the crunchiness and then the creaminess of the hummus. And then just all the random pickles and all the flavors are sweet and tart and salty and slightly spicy and nothing's overpowering and it's just nice to consume. I'm going to give myself, I think, an 8.9 out of 10. Can you recall what your favorite meals are this week?
I can't remember what I did 5 minutes ago, so probably not. I think my favorite was the wheat pudding.
Mmm.
Yeah.
Did you like the horchata?
It was fine. It was a bit fibrous. It was a bit too fibrous.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
you did whole blended oranges.
Oh, too thick.
Too thick, yeah.
I think my personal favorite was the miso salmon fried rice. Basically anything that used the wheat berries, I was a huge fan of. I love the jicama salad with the salmon. And honestly, the quiche was great. I needed it after that day of fiery chilaquiles and it saved my life. I think for the chilaquiles, we had great potential. If I didn't let it sit for too long, it could have been crispier. And
Yeah.
then maybe if I didn't use so many peppers, I would have survived. But I died that night and I was reborn the next day. And you know, a different version of June.
Better?
What do you think?
You're okay.
Okay. I truly hope you enjoyed this week. I thought on $20 I wouldn't be making 9 meals plus 2 snacks, but I did. Do you think next time we should go down to 15?
I don't think there's a limit to how far you can go down. You still ended up with a lot of leftovers for this. You still made like so many meals. We gotta get you doing like 99-cent weeks, 12-cent weeks.
Are you making a third wrap?
Yeah. Dinner.
You said you didn't like it.
Who said I didn't like it?
Well, it wasn't on your favorites.
Just because something isn't, do you have a tendency to think that if something's not my favorite, I hate it?
Right.
Sometimes things are just good enough.
It's true. And with that, stay hydrated. I'll see you guys next time. Please get more sleep than I do because it's not sustainable. Good night.